On number 2, what do I need to do?
Keep change flip.
Keep change flip. Negative 3 plus 21 gives you what?
19. 18.
18.
Let's go.
On number 3, what do we need to do? Keep change flip again. Negative 8 plus a negative 3 gives you? Negative 11. Last one, keep change flip. 12 plus a negative 21 gives you? Negative 9. Okay. Today we're moving on to 2.4. Okay, this question is going to show up again. What do you get when you add, subtract, multiply, or divide integers? An integer. Okay, that's going to show up every single time. You get an integer. Okay. Last week we focused on adding and subtracting integers. Now we're moving on to multiplying integers. So today we're going to multiply integers and simplify algebraic expressions with integers. Okay? So key concept number 1 is when you multiply two integers with different signs. What are different signs a number can have?
Positive and negative.
Positive and negative. What are those?
Positive and negative signs.
What are they? Opposites. Positive and negative are opposites. So when you multiply a positive and a negative number together, what do you get? You get a negative. Positive times a negative gives you a negative number. Okay? When you multiply them with the same sign, positive times positive gives you positive number. Negative times a negative gives you
Negative. Wait, positive. My bad.
positive times positive gives you positive. Negative times negative gives you positive. So when's the only time you get a negative number?
If you're doing positive
When-
times negative.
Yep, when it's positive times negative, or when opposites multiply each other. Okay? So let's do some examples. Here we have negative 3 times 12. We have a negative times a positive. What's our answer going to be?
Negative.
It is going to be negative because they're opposites. What is 3 times 12? 36. Good. We have 4 times negative 7. Positive times negative gives you?
Negative.
Negative. Yep, they're opposites. What's 4 times 7?
28.
28. Good. Try these two on your own. On A, we have a positive times a negative. What are we going to get?
Negative.
A negative. 8 times 9 is 72. Yep. Get the sign first and then multiply the numbers together. Negative times a positive gives you?
Negative.
Negative. What's 9 times 11?
99.
99. Good. So when you multiply opposites, they're going to be negative. So here, now we have a negative times a negative. What did we say when we multiply negative times a negative? What are we going to get?
Positive.
We're going to get a positive. So what's 5 times 7? 35. Okay. Negative times a negative gives you? Positive. What's 8 times 14?
182.
It is 112. Let's go over this. Okay, we're not going to use calculators on these. Let's go over this. What's 8 times 4? 32. Drop the 2, carry the 3. What's 8 times 1? What's 8 times 1? 8 plus 3? 11. So we get 112. Okay. Any questions over this review right here? We're good? Okay. Negative times negative gives you? Positive. What's 16 times 4?
Don't tell me.
Crap.
Oh, Brady, you said it right.
What's 16 times 4? What?
74.
Close.
64.
It is 64. Yep. 64. Again, if you need to, do this. Okay? Negative times a negative gives you? Positive. What's 9 times 6? 54. Okay. All right. Moving on. We're moving on to word problems now. What does descend mean?
Go down.
Goes down. So what sign? Negative. So it says an airplane goes down at a rate of 175 feet per minute. So that's where that negative 175 comes from. Per minute. Okay. That per minute, that word per, is going to be very important. Because it wants to know how far does it descend every minute, but when it's going 5 minutes. So after 5 minutes, how far does it descend? How do we figure that out? Every minute it goes down 175.
5 times 175.
So we got to multiply by 5 because per, whenever you see per, that C means multiply. Okay? Try this word problem on your own. Okay, a ski lift descends the side of a mountain at a rate of 450 feet per minute. Stop there.
Negative 3,150.
What sign are we going to need?
Negative.
Brayden. Negative. Why negative? Why negative?
Because it descends.
Because it descends and it goes down. And it says per minute. So we want to know the change of altitude for 7 minutes. So what do we need to do? Multiply by what? Multiply by 7. Okay? Or you can set it up like this. Porter, what'd you get?
Negative 3,150.
Is that what you guys got?
Yes.
Negative 3,150?
I'm smart.
Okay. Now we're going to bring in different properties. Okay? So we're going to talk about associative property first. Associative property is the same thing with adding and subtracting when we worked left to right. Okay, so associative property, we're still going to work left to right. We're going to take the first two numbers, multiply them together, and then we're going to tag along the other number and then multiply. Okay, commutative property, that's talking about no matter what order you do that in, you're going to get the same number. So no matter how you multiply numbers together, you're going to get the same number. Does that make sense? So with associative property, work left to right. Take two numbers at a time. Yeah? Same thing with adding and subtracting that we did last week. So here, on this example, what do we need to do first? I think you guys need to flip your paper over. What do you guys need to do first? Left to right. So which two numbers do we need to multiply first? 7 times negative 11. First, positive times a negative gives you?
Positive.
Positive times a negative gives you?
Negative.
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 What's 7 times 11? Negative 77. What do we have to do next? Multiply by 4. Bring that other number down. Negative times a positive gives you a negative. What's 77 times 4?
308. Negative 308.
Is it 308? Negative 308. So work left to right. Take two numbers at a time and then keep bringing down that next number. Okay, don't try to do it all at once. Okay, questions with that property right there that we just did. Now we're going to bring in a little bit of algebra. Okay? Like adding and subtracting, we're going to combine like terms. Okay, so for multiplying, you want to take your whole numbers together, multiply those together. And then bring your letters together, multiply your letters together. So, put your numbers together, multiply, put your letters together, multiply. What happens when you multiply letters together? Do they make another letter? No, what happens to them?
You just combine them.
They just go together. Yep, they don't make a new letter, they just go together. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's look at an example. What are like terms in this? What are my whole numbers? 8 and negative 5. What I write down, you write down. 8 and negative 5. What are our letters? A and B. Is everyone okay here how I split that up? Yep. So, put your whole numbers together. Put your letters together. Sorry. So, let's do our numbers. Negative times a positive gives you negative. What's 8 times 5? 40. What happens to that 8 times B?
You combine them with the answer you got.
Combine them with the answer you got. So, what's my final answer?
40AB. Negative 40AB.
Negative 40AB. Yep. And you know you're done when you only have one number. Okay? You don't want that 8 and that 5. You want to multiply those together and combine them. Okay? All right. Now we're going to start substituting. We did this a little bit last week. Okay? When it gives you numbers for the variables, what do we do with those? You put them in there, right? So it says x equals 2 and y equals negative 6. I put these examples in here for you so you can go back and look at it later. Okay? So 3, we keep the 3 because there's nothing to substitute it with. X, what does x equal? 2. So we put 2 in for x. What does y equal? Negative 6, so you put negative 6 in. And then you do left to right, associative property. Take two numbers at a time, and then you go until you got one number. Yeah? So let's try it on this one. So negative 3, what do we do with that negative 3?
Where's the problem at?
Keep it, right? Can you find it? It's on the- So we're going to keep that negative 3. What do we do with x? What does x equal?
Negative 4.
Negative 4. What does y equal? 9. Okay, now we need to solve. What do we do first?
Left to right.
Left to right, so take 2 at a time. What are the first 2 numbers I combine?
Negative 3, negative 4.
Yep, negative times a negative gives you
Positive.
positive. What's 3 times 4?
12.
And then bring down the 9. Now you just need to multiply 12 times 9. What's 12 times 9? 108? 108. Does everyone agree with 108?
Yeah.
108.
Everyone agree with 108? Of what we went over today. Okay, any questions?